Well, a fine morning to you. Thank you very much for joining us this pleasurable Monday. Let's look what we're kicking off the week with. Let's go into the court system, shall we? Talking about last week when a ruling was handed down by the High Court in, the Federal High Court in Edo State to the effect that it was declining jurisdiction on the case of the PDP against the suspension by the Edo State Governor of its local government chairman. So the court declined jurisdiction, said that it just wasn't within its purview. And so let's look at that. This really means that those chairmen, as I have heard it expressed, those chairmen are still in limbo, so to speak. And we'll find out how the rest of it goes. Our guest this morning is Mr. Andrew Mwanta. He's a constitutional lawyer. He's also the special advisor to the Edo State Governor on legal matters. A fine morning to you, Mr. Mwanta.
Yeah, good morning, Uncle Yori. It's a pleasure to be on your program this morning.
The pleasure is all mine. The pleasure is all mine. That's necessary because professionals, why did the lawyers not know what seemed to me to be, well, I don't know anything about it, to be such an elementary matter? Why did they not know that the court, the Federal High Court would decline jurisdiction?
Yeah, thank you. That what we saw was a clear case of gamble on the part of that particular legal team of the PDP. Ended the local government chairman in Edo State. It's like somebody that wants to travel to Okada in Edo State. The person now decides to, instead of using a bus park of Okada in Benin City, travels all the way to Lagos. Because Okada is off Lagos Road, then from Lagos you get a vehicle that will bring you back to Okada. The State High Court is with them in Benin City. Sometime in January, they went to the Federal High Court in Abuja, and the matter was assigned to Justice Emeka Nwinte of the Federal High Court, Abuja, asking for reliefs that border on something that happened in Benin City. The parties, of course, are the Edo State government, the House of Assembly, the Speaker, and others. And these claimants are local government chairmen in Edo State. So what they did was to add the Inspector General of Police to give this impression that because his office is in Abuja, the court there has jurisdiction. And I won't say unfortunately, but they got an interim order that was given on the 6th of January that had the effect of asking the governor and all the parties to maintain status quo. So when we got wind of that, first we had to consider if that was the proper route or the proper legal procedure. When we have a Federal High Court in Benin, why now file in Abuja? So we wrote to the Chief Judge of that court, because it was a vacation situation during the Christmas break. That matter was eventually transferred to Benin. So that the court now had to consider this issue of jurisdiction based on the preliminary objection that was raised by the House of Assembly, the governor, and other defendants. And when you look at the provision of the Constitution, Section 251, Sub 1, lists the areas for which the Federal High Court has jurisdiction. Local government law interpretation is not one of such items. A dispute between local government chairman and the governor of the state and the House of Assembly is not one of those items listed. And that is what the court said in declining jurisdiction. Section 272 of the Nigerian 1999 Constitution as amended is very clear on the jurisdiction of the State High Court. The draft, I repeat, unlimited jurisdiction on the State High Court. That is on the one hand. On the other hand, before the governor came on board on the 12th of November last year, precisely on the eve of his inauguration, the Chief Judge of Edo State gave a decision on this issue of, because at that time they felt the governor was suspended upon coming into office. So they now sought for the interpretation of Section 10 of the law, that's the Edo State Local Government Law. And the governor, of course, knowing that there was a decision because there was a judgment that the Chief Judge gave, a declaratory one for that matter.
Okay, it does look as if the video froze.
Having given that judgment, who would have expected them, right? Who would have expected them to maybe, if they are not comfortable with the fact that they still against that judgment, but they did not. They not brought this fresh action before the Federal High Court, asking the Federal High Court to enforce that judgment of the Edo State High Court. And what the Federal High Court also said, the Federal High Court is not a place to enforce decisions of the State High Court. And the court also declined jurisdiction on that basis. So we received that decision. The Edo State government received that decision with great joy and pleasantness, I would say.
Yes. Okay.
Because just like that man who decided to get to Lagos first before going to Okada, we knew the court would throw out that particular application of theirs, the case that they filed before the Federal High Court, thereby remitting it back to the State High Court. And that when a case like that is transferred, it dies a natural death because other technical issues will come. And as part of that legal team, I can assure you that we are working on those technical issues to now properly bury the case, give the case a decent burial.
Okay, as you put it. The other thing I wanted to get your advice on is whether the governor actually has the authority to suspend all the local council chairmen. He must have relied on, some instrument of power. Given the talk about autonomy that's going on now, following, as you know, the president's bill on that, and everybody being happy that, we're going to see autonomy now in the local council. Does the governor, can the governor rightly, as he has done, suspend all those people?
Yeah, thank you, Yuri. They say every case is decided on its merits. I don't know of other states, but in Edo State, we have a local government law, that's the Edo State Local Government Law, that was passed by the Edo State House of Assembly since 2000. Precisely Section 20 of that law that has a marginal note termed suspension of local government chairman or vice empowers the governor on the advice of the House of Assembly to suspend an erring local government chairman for a period of 3 months. And that, of course, also applies to a vice chairman, where if there's a case of malfeasance, as we saw in the case of this 18 local government chairman. Because when the governor came in on the 12th of November this year, he had to go through the books. And there was need for him to have a series of interactions with local government chairmen. I think 2 months down the line, there was a request for them to account for a particular amount of money that was being debited at source from local government allocations, so the tune of 800 million monthly. And it was tagged environmental security. And the cumulative amount ran into billions of naira. This local government chairman, after a series of requests and meetings, refused to provide any information on that.
Where did that money go? That environmental, purported environmental security fund, where did it go?
Environmental security.
Sorry.
The same, your guess is as good as mine, but from what we heard, that money was spent for election, for politics. during the 2024 Edo governorship election.
Okay.
The bulk of that money was spent for that purpose.
But that hasn't been proved yet.
Vehicles,
okay.
Because the local government chairman, some of them now had to tell us, though off camera, that that was what that money was meant for.
Okay.
Thereby defeating the whole idea behind local government autonomy.
Indeed, indeed. If that
and again, I must also say that the local government law of Edo State, Section 20 has not been challenged. What they challenged was Section 10. Because they know that Section 20 is the law that was made pursuant to Section 7 of our Constitution. Because Section 7 of our 1999 Constitution allows the State of Assembly to make a law for the existence, function, structure, and finance of local government councils. So the law remains until the House of Assembly now decides to amend that provision of the law. Because if you ask if that provision is in line with the Constitution, yes, it's absolutely in line with the Constitution. But I think people mistake the issue of dissolution with suspension.
Right? I was going to ask you about that.
What happened in Edo was not a case of outright dissolution. Right? Because the fear they had was that Section 10 has an implied provision allowing the governor to dissolve. That was why they went to court. And the pronouncement of the Edo State High Court was on Section 10, not on Section 20. Because Section 20 is very clear. Okay. And in line with the provision of Section 7 of the Constitution.
So there is a clear difference between dissolution and suspension, one being more severe than the other. So they still exist, but in a state of suspension, as opposed to dissolution, which will obviate their existence altogether.
A temporal arrangement which can be made permanent if the House of Assembly now finds that this local government chairman, of course, has reasons not to continue in office. So that in the absence of, or rather after the suspension, the leader of the legislative arm, which is like a Speaker of the State House of Assembly, steps in as acting chairman.
Okay, I get you.
But what we must also tell Nigerians is that 17 of these local government chairmen subsequently were impeached by their councillors. So that is what now led to their removal from office. So not the suspension that was done initially.
So where can this case go if, as you say, 17 of the 18 have been impeached, and this, I don't know if this ruling by the High Court, if this ruling has actually wiped out their case altogether, or it has simply nudged it in a different direction. I don't, where do you think, do they now have to go and start again? Because if they were impeached, then they are not members anymore, and we're not, you know, if the impeachment was before they were, before, you know, was it before or after the ruling?
Let me explain.
Please.
Let me explain. They were suspended on the 17th of December.
Okay.
And some of them, after that suspension, had to now face impeachment proceedings.
Okay.
In their various legislative councils.
Mm-hmm.
And out of 18, 17 of them were impeached.
Okay. Impeached as chairman, does that mean go back to being a regular councillor, or what?
I think, please, can you repeat that question?
When you say they were impeached as council chairmen, does that then, do they then revert to ordinary, councillors?
No. Once you are impeached as a chairman, because you were elected as chairman, once you are impeached as a chairman or vice chairman, it means you can no longer occupy that office until maybe a court of competent jurisdiction says otherwise.
Okay.
It's just like when you impeach a governor. That does not make him to revert as a lawmaker.
Okay. I just wanted
so
to
that what I meant by the person that was acting as chairman is the leader of the house, who is like the speaker. It is the law that says the leader now steps in as acting chairman.
Okay.
But just as I noted, the chairmen were subsequently impeached from office along with their vice chairman. for financial malfeasance. And again, they have some of these impeachment cases in the various divisions of the High Court in their various domains. So it is for the State High Court to now determine if the impeachment was done in accordance with the law or not. But the best I know is that most of those impeachments were done based on the provision of Section 19. Section 19 of the local government law stipulates the procedure by which a local government chairman and his vice can be impeached. So because this matter is sub judice, I would not want to go into it. I can only speak of the one for which judgment has been given. And you know, you asked again, what is the fate of the suspended chairman in view of the decision of the Federal High Court?
Yes. Yes. But you say
I will not disclose our strategy, but because the matter has been transferred to the State High Court, I think they will now pursue their de novo, that's afresh. But for us, we will keep our cards to our chest.
Okay.
Because as I earlier said, we will give that case a decent burial. Law, like politics, is a game of strategy.
It is.
At times, it is not in the number of lawyers or the number of years, because the wisdom of Solomon has nothing to do with the age of Methuselah. So when we get to that bridge, we'll cross it.
But all of this, commentators are saying, is about, you know, shall we say, tightening or intensifying Governor Kobolo's hold on, you know, on government and governance throughout the state, even though, you know, there are different, you know, tiers of government. And so that is the speculation that, look, when you come up and you want to take, if you don't have local government, then really, some people say that they don't think that you have very much of the state. And so when Governor Kobolo came up with this, the charge of insubordination, and what's the other one? Insubordination in the first instance, and
of course, financial malfeasance.
Financial improprieties. What would you say to those who, especially, well, you said that whole matter about, it's about getting a stronger control of the state and bullying, as it were, the PDP chairman out of office to clear road for APC to have an effective stance in the place. What would you say to that line of reasoning? Is it politics? All is fair in politics?
Witchcraft. And I said the Bible likens the spirit of rebellion to witchcraft. Because the drafters of our Constitution, in their wisdom in Section 7, made local government councils to be subservient to states by allowing the State House of Assembly to make a law for their existence. I mean, that word is very operative, existence. Function, right? Structure, and finance. So that even when we now say, oh, financial autonomy, the state still has oversight functions over them. So in a rebellious manner, they said, no, Mr. Governor, you are a member of the APC. We are PDP. You cannot tell us, you know, to bring our records. Whereas the law allows the governor to do that. So that is where I think they failed, you know, woefully. Because if they knew that they could be suspended for such acts of insubordination, flowing from their acts of financial misappropriation or impropriety, I don't think they would have taken that line or told that line. And it's not the first time. Under Shomole, most of these chairmen, I mean, local government chairmen were suspended. Under Obaseki, it happened, and they activated the provisions of Section 20, which, as I earlier noted, was made pursuant to Section 7 of our Constitution.
All right.
But, you know, there's a way we view public opinion, and I think our people are happy. I can speak for my local government. My local government chairman is performing very well. He's asphalting roads. He's giving vehicles to security agencies. He's doing a whole lot of projects, and that is the spirit of financial autonomy. Allow local government chairmen to exercise certain levels of control of the resources they get on the federation account for the good of our people at the grassroots level.
All right. Let me bring in Reverend Dominic now, who is on the line. Good morning, Reverend.
Good morning, Yori. How are you?
Thank you for calling. Very well, thank you.
Good morning to your guest.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Our guest also, okay, Andrew Mwanta, can hear us.
In this lighter note, we are one of the editors in TVC, the editors, I don't think that's this topic today. What I'm suggesting, because the mood of the nation, if we have few mood in Nigeria about what happened in the state. The editors are one of the best I've seen in the television series this time. But I want to say this, Yore. If what you're discussing here make any sense, it's going contrary to Mr. President in Abuja, let's use that word, our president, who wanted an independence of local government so governors can trickle down. If a man has power to hire and fire, how could that servant have independence? I've listened to your guests, which I hate to do in this day, to listen to politicians. They can't tell the truth. Now, if you are saying the local government chairman should bring the book in Benin to show Mr. Governor how they spend their money, what is the independence of this local government chairman? And if local government chairman can be suspended, I think they're elected. I'm thinking, in Nigeria, you can be illiterate even though you went to school. I think this local government chairman were elected. Is there any law in the books according to him that makes it to elect a man and elect a man by about 200, 300 or 1,000 people, and one man called himself chief executive, sack all of them? You see, if you continue this way, the carnage in Benue State will continue, what we're seeing in our nation, because what is causing all this problem is bad governance, lack of rule of law. And I saw this thing early this year when this governor came to power and sacked all the whole local government. And most of us were discussed somewhere in South Africa. And so what kind of governance in Nigeria that a chief executive will come and sack an elected executive in another branch of government? So what I'm trying to say is that these people are working contrary to Mr. President. As long as there's no local council chairman, there's no way governance will go down. Because this government, GDP. I'm educated. I don't know what is GDP. My own GDP, if I can buy fuel, if I can eat 3 times a day, if I can pay school fees. Today, we don't have all that. How does it work? This is the mind of Mr. President to go to court. But if he go to the route of politics, they won't get independence. So he went to court and achieve it. But these governors sit bent on make sure that there's no governance in local government. How could you have a governance when you're quarreling? So what I'm trying to say is politicians are horrible in this nation. We are trying to get a life and loss. They're trying to go to court and take on money. As long as local governance, there will be no government in this nation. Because there's no way Mr. President will come from Abuja and put water in my Lemoshan. I live in Lemoshan for many years. I don't have water from government. And Mr. President cannot do it. It's the local government chairman in Lemoshan.
Okay. Thank you very much, Reverend Dominic. Mr. Mwanta, how would you respond to that?
Yeah, thank you. He referred to an incident in Benue. It's an unfortunate incident that we must condemn in the strongest of terms. The problem of insecurity is not just in Benue alone. We have it in Plateau and elsewhere. And governors and local government chairmen and other stakeholders do their utmost in trying to deal with these issues. We even had an incident not so long ago in Edo. But I don't think I agree with him. It tends to say, local governments are independent. The word financial autonomy must not be mistaken for outright independence. Because the drafters of our constitution who placed local government under the control of states did that purposely. The idea is having a federal government, the center, and federating units. Local governments are not federating units. And that is why for us, as a state, we try to follow the law. Maybe he was not following this program. I said Section 20 of our Edo State local government law allows the government to suspend. Was the law not made by representatives of the people? And even the power to suspend is not just on the basis of the governor acting unilaterally. He must seek the approval of the House of Assembly. The House of Assembly is made up of representatives of the people. So I don't think I agree with Reverend Dominic. He may have a mindset. Whatever he says is his personal opinion. But what I've said is based on what the law says. And maybe he didn't hear the fact that we said they were also impeached by the councillors. Or is he not saying that the councillors don't have the power to impeach a chairman? Because the councillors represent each ward of the local government and they are the people's representative. So I think viewers should always watch an entire program before drawing certain inferences or conclusions. You don't just join a program midway and you make such very scathing remarks. But as I said, this is a personal opinion. The Federal High Court gave a decision, and the decision is something nobody can fault.
Well, as indeed you have explained, when I asked the question as to where the governor derived his authority from, you had explained that it's there in the books, on the books. It's a law. The law enables the governor to do as he has done in certain circumstances, all of which I imagine you lawyers around him would have been very anxious for him to cross the T's and dot the I's on such a matter, just in case it is challenged. So from your perspective now, and indeed the law, the governor was well within his rights. And so the question, although it might well be that, well, that hardly concerns you anymore, the question is, where do those people now go from here? Do they have any recourse to appeal or what?
Yeah, thank you. Some of the defendants who naturally would have preferred that, because one of the reliefs was that because there was a decision earlier at the Edo State High Court, this was forum shopping and offends the doctrine of res judicata. And as such, the action should be struck out and not transfer, because transfer was not one of the reliefs the plaintiff sought. And in response, the defendants did not even argue along that line, but they said that the action should be struck out. So one of the defendants, and I think they should appeal against that decision, asking the Court of Appeal to strike out that case completely. And the effect of that appeal is that the case at the High Court will have to wait to allow the Court of Appeal to decide on that particular matter.
Okay. Okay.
They have impeachment cases, as I said, across the various divisions of the State High Court, which I think they are pursuing. Okay.
Again, just so that we don't forget the substance of the matter, financial improprieties were alleged in the governor's, as part of the reason for the governor's action. So the proceeds of such financial impropriety as alleged, are those alleged funds frozen, or are they still up in the air somewhere as this goes on? Because the longer we take, perhaps the more injury that can happen to such funds.
Yes, the matter is currently before the EFCC, right? And I would not want to say something that I'm not in a position to say.
Okay, I get you.
The matter is before the EFCC.
Okay.
So I think the EFCC will be in a better position to comment on that.
I hear you.
The matter is under investigation.
Okay, tell you what, Andrew, well, that affects Edo State, where a high court in Abuja has declined jurisdiction, says it is not within its purview. These are matters that are well covered by the courts in Edo State itself. So that's where we are on that. Dare I ask, so now you said you would actually like them to appeal. I guess what you're meaning by that is that so that this can be further concretized, so that it can be elaborated upon how very much out of order they were. I understand you're saying that you don't want to comment on the alleged funds that are the subject of this whole malfeasance. I understand that, but so what's the next step? What's the next step from here? Because you were sorry, sir. I just wanted to be very, very clear for non-legal minds. I wanted to be clear for non-legal minds. This whole matter about the difference between what has happened now and it being struck out. It was not transferred because they didn't even, make that plea for it to be transferred. But just before you go, sir, let me include Uche, who is called in from Nnewi to our program. So maybe you'll be able to respond to both Uche's and the matters on ground. Good morning to you, Mr. Uche. Uche? Uche?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Okay, go right ahead.
Good morning, Uncle Yari. Good morning, the Honorable.
Mr. Andrew Mwanta. He's the constitutional lawyer and special advisor to the governor on legal matters.
My name is Uche. I'm calling from Nnewi.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah, the honorable, that's the honorable working for the governor in Edo State.
He's special advisor.
Now, one when he said the governor has the power to remove the local government chairman, and in the other when he said that it was the councillors that removed the local government chairman. So I don't know which one he was talking about now.
No.
But
I think
for me,
okay, he'll explain it. Our guest is a constitutional lawyer. Apart from that, he's also special advisor to the Edo State governor on legal matters. And he explained that the governor was well within his rights and limits because the matter he took action on, he derives the authority from Edo State laws itself. Now, the whole matter about the removal of the councillors, it was done within the council itself, but he can speak for himself. Let me take it to you, Mr. Mwanta. Would you like to respond to Uche? In addition to what?
Let me just quickly draw a line of distinction between two different things that happened. First, on the 17th, this chairman, as I earlier noted, were suspended due to their acts of insubordination and flowing from the fact that they were told to come and account for funds that were misappropriated. And as I earlier noted, Section 20 allows the governor, on the advice of the House of Assembly, to suspend an erring local government chairman of vice for a period of 3 months. But subsequently, 17 out of 18 of these local government chairmen were impeached, that is, were removed from office by their own councillors. These are two different things. This particular case before the Federal High Court had to do with the suspension, which was filed since December, right, last year. Unlike in the case of impeachments, which was done by the local government councillors, you have various divisions of the Edo State High Court handling cases on this impeachment to decide the constitutionality or otherwise. The governor was not involved in this one at all. It was the councillors that were part of the impeachment proceedings that took place across, proceedings, I beg your pardon, that took place across the various local government councils.
Okay. So, Mr. Uche, you might have left us, but you were hearing this, and I hope that satisfies.
Based on law and fact, the governor of Rivers, currently, Simfuba, who is on suspension, was to be impeached by the House of Assembly. Assuming he comes back and is impeached by the Rivers State House of Assembly, you have two scenarios here. And if the matter will go to court, because already the issue of his suspension is currently before the Apex Court, so that if he's impeached tomorrow, it will go before either the State High Court or the Federal High Court, depending on the facts of the case.
I hear you. Thank you very much, Mr. Mwanta.
That the issue of suspension and the subsequent impeachment of this local government chairman are two different things. In the case of the first one, which was the act of both the governor and the House of Assembly, the Federal High Court has given a decision. Then for the impeachment is the State High Court that's currently, hearing those impeachment cases.
Okay. Now, I have heard some legal minds talk about the people who brought the action. Why didn't they stay at the State High Court? Because, and as it were, warehouse all similar matters in that area, and so deal with them there. In fact, I believe that their lordships at the State High Court, at the Federal High Court, had said that even if there are matters that you feel, are current there, it is not to this, Federal High Court that you come to get action on those matters. So I guess my question to you would be, in addition to clarifying that, I wanted to know if there are any remnant legal issues before the Supreme Court concerning Edo State. I fear you might not have heard me well, if at all. Okay, I can see that there's a challenge there. Okay, I was asking, is it better now? Can you hear me now? Not really.
I can hear you.
Yeah, we gathered as much. Sorry that you can't hear us, but I could hear you, so we're going to sort that out pretty soon. Victor is calling in from what? Calabar, did you say? Victor in Calabar, good morning to you, sir. Well, there goes Victor. There goes Victor. Mr. Mwenta, can you hear us yet? No. Yes, this is something of a challenge. Well, Mr. Andrew Mwenta is joining us via Zoom, so it might just be that the signals are dropping in and dropping back, dropping out. Andrew, can you hear us?
How are you doing now? You know I'm strong.
No, it's clear that you cannot hear us. Hoping that the signal will come back, very, very soon, if not immediately. Well, Andrew Mwenta is a constitutional lawyer and special advisor to the Edo State Governor, and he's helping us to understand what happened in that court case. And Mazi, let me take Mazi Okorafor. The only person who can't hear right now is Andrew, who is the guest. Mazi Okorafor, morning to you, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, I guess, in the studio. Honestly speaking, you see what the court is doing is the best option for us. Now, not any small things, people will rush to court. Compounding situation, making court and making election tribunal as if Johnny just come. A man not think that people should accept at the onset, they will be dragging it. That is why when you go to them, they say, adjoin. What are you adjoining? Thank God that the court have just come out from the normal system. We used to know a Nigerian court that any man just straight away, not everything, you just keep on adjoining. And this makes it that's why our lawyer done. Everybody want to go to Nigeria to read law, because they have seen that all these issues adjournment bring money to lawyers. But that was notwithstanding. Honestly speaking, the needful should be done. People should accept failure. People should accept pass. Why? Statesmanship is not to sit down and say, I am this, if this, doctor this, a professor this. No. Anything that I know that there's no hope for that, just accept it with good faith as a sportsman. You wait for another turn. That is why they turn by turn. You see, there's all the sort of even bread, they say turn by turn. Even they market, they don't know that they turn by turn. Nigeria should learn to be what sportsman, not only to go to the field and play football between Enyimba and remote start or them. Sportsmanship is very, very important in anything we are doing in this country. Good morning, Mazu Krafo from our screen at the state. Have a blessed day in Lagos. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Mazi Okorafor, out of Arochukwu there. Andrew, can you hear us yet? Is it any better? Can you hear us, Andrew?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, now there's some sort of a delay. I hope your television is not up. The volume of your television should not be up because that causes its own problems. Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay. The other inquiry I was making is that is there any remnant of any legal case concerning Edo before the Supreme Court?
On which subject matter? Is it
well, concerning the election and either the election and also this particular subject matter? There's nothing.
I think the only matter we have is the election petition case that came from the Court of Appeal, because the Court of Appeal affirmed the victory of Senator Mono Bevolo.
Yes.
And of course, the PDP candidate and his party, Aswe Udalo and his party, agreed to have filed a notice of appeal at the Supreme Court. So that particular case is the one we know is before the Supreme Court.
Okay.
So none of this case has gone as far as the Supreme Court. I mean, these local government cases, none of them have gone to the Supreme Court.
Okay, because their lordships did say that they considered the whole affair an abuse of court processes. Because their lordships had said that it was an abuse of the court process, and that was a criticism. I'm even surprised that... Sorry, did you hear me?
The case they had at the Court of Appeal became ill-fated, and as such, the court had to dismiss it. And of course, there was a cross-appeal, and that cross-appeal was to question the ruling of the tribunal, allowing those beavers machines that they didn't leave any evidence on. They just dumped those, real evidences before the tribunal.
Okay.
And of course, one of their grounds was contrary to the provisions of the Electoral Act, because you cannot be saying that an election was invalid on the basis of electoral irregularities like overvoting, and you're now asking the same tribunal to return you as a winner. So that particular ground of the petition was struck down. And when you strike down that ground, which is a major ground of their petition, there's no petition. So I know that at the Supreme Court, the entire appeal will be dismissed.
Okay, so that's, as you said, that has nothing to do with the matter at hand that we're talking about. It has nothing whatsoever to do. These are in clear, watertight compartments. None of it, no one bleeds into the other. I'm afraid that I can, I really...
Well, when you say a case that is dead, as a lawyer, you know it is dead.
And that's what you think about this particular, local council case.
The petition at the lower tribunal had no merits, just as the tribunal noted. It was poorly prepared. You cannot talk of an election that has over 7,000, we're talking of an election that, they were questioning about 700 and something polling units, and they called only 4 polling units agents to establish overvoting or to establish non-compliance. It was a gamble, an expensive gamble, just as the Court of Appeal noted.
Okay, I hear you.
And just as I've earlier mentioned, I know that the Supreme Court will dismiss that appeal.
All right.
Very productive cost.
Okay, but as you've said, it's in a watertight compartment. It doesn't, it can't flow into this one. The ones that we're talking about now, the local council matter we're talking about, is a totally separate affair. My only fear is that you can't hear me. Yes, it seems clear.
One thing we should note is that Edo people who gave Senator Mondo Gbagbo the mandate, they are pleased with their governor, and the governor is performing. For the first time in Benin City, we now have a flyover. The project has gone over 40%, and hopefully by next year, Edo people and Nigerians will plow on that flyover, and the second one will come in Benin City. So this is a governor that wants to develop the state. He's dealing with the problem of insecurity. Edo State anti-cultism law that was recently passed, the governor is enforcing it. The issue of kidnapping is also dealing with it under the new anti-kidnapping law. Because Section 14 of the Constitution says the security and welfare of the people is the primary purpose of government. And Senator Monday Okpebolo, as governor of Edo State, is doing just that, which the immediate past PDP government failed to do.
Okay, I want to thank you very much, Andrew. I want to thank you very much.
Before now is fixing each and every one of them across the 3 senatorial districts. Health sector, education, they are receiving attention.
I want to thank you very much, Andrew, for really doing your best in a situation that is almost impossible. You clearly can't hear me. Nevertheless, you are using, as we say locally, some idea to carry the whole matter. I've just heard, I know that you can't hear me because that much is clear, but Ogashua in Nasarawa, good morning to you, sir. Ogashua in Nasarawa, yes, can you hear me? No. Well,
that's from Nasarawa State.
Yes. Okay. Go ahead, please. Make your contribution.
Okay, my simple question, sir. In the court of public opinion, how can the whole local
10 or whatever local government will be sustained by, will be impeached by the councillor. Is it possible in the court of public service? If you look at the scenario, how offense that they will take a queue at the same time? Is it not questionable to any understandable human being? That's my question.
Well, okay. Unfortunately, our guests, the sound is such that, but you see, he has explained what you are talking about. He has already explained it because there are local council laws in Edo State that indeed empower the governor. But thank you very much for calling in. I'm not going to make this more uncomfortable for Andrew Mwata. I want to thank you very much, Andrew. I'm going to have to end it here. Andrew has been our guest, and thank you for your very brave showing in spite of the difficulties. We really appreciate you trying to make it work. Thank you very much. We're going to have to leave it here for now. And so that's our program. Do indeed join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I'm Yori Folare. Bye-bye for now.